Leo, let's be real for a second. Tomorrow isn't just another day on the calendar. It's a cosmic turning point that might just feel like it explodes right through your comfort zone. October 17th is the day something cracks open. And whether you're ready or not, your life is about to change. Fast. Without warning. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. I'm here to tell you that if you've been feeling something stirring some tension, some whisper you can't explain, this is it. That moment has arrived. The universe is no longer tapping on your shoulder. It's banging on your front door. This message found you for a reason. You're not here by chance. You're here because there's a shift coming and your soul knows it. There's something about October 17th that wants to pull you into alignment, even if it has to break down a few walls to get there. That's why the Tower card is showing up in your reading. And that's why the Star is waiting just behind it. You see, a breakdown isn't always a collapse, it's sometimes a wake-up call. And tomorrow might bring one. Through a sudden text. A strange dream. A harsh truth. Or a flash of clarity so raw you can't unsee it. The old you? That version that kept quiet to keep the peace, that settled for just enough, they're being called to step aside. And let me ask you, what if this is the moment you've been secretly waiting for, even if it shows up disguised as chaos? What if the version of you who's been waiting in silence is finally ready to roar? Look, I know the Leo spirit. Brave. Loyal. Fiery. But even lions need reminders. You don't have to fight everything, but you do have to answer when the call comes. And this is the call. So if your heart is beating a little faster, if some part of you is nodding quietly, then leave a comment below right now and say, I choose to trust. That's not just a comment, it's your energetic signal to the universe that you're ready to walk through the door that's opening tomorrow. And if no one else has told you lately, let me say it now, I see you. I honor your growth. I feel the heaviness you've carried, and I know the light is closer than you think. That's why this channel, Eternal Mindfulness, exists. Not just to predict your day, but to help you hear what your soul has been whispering all along. Let me also take a quiet moment to say thank you. Truly. Every time you like, comment, or subscribe, you're helping this space stay alive. You're helping us bring these messages into more hearts, into more lives. And I promise you, Leo, you'll want to stay until the very last minute of today's video, because what the universe is revealing to you now is nothing short of breathtaking. So tell me, my fierce and faithful Leos, what called you here today? What sign, what tug on your heart brought you to this exact moment? I believe it's your spirit finally saying, I'm ready. And trust me, what's coming is greater than what you're leaving behind. Let's walk into it together. There's a kind of stillness that arrives just before a storm, but not the kind you see in the sky. It's quieter. Internal. It moves inside your chest before it ever shows up outside of you. And Leo, that's exactly the kind of energy October 17th is bringing. This isn't just a day marked by dates or time zones. It's a cosmic gateway, and whether you're aware of it or not, you've already stepped into it. Astrologically, this day is no small ripple. The moon aligns with Uranus, an electric, unpredictable force that shakes loose what we've tried to hold still. You might feel it as emotional turbulence. Mood swings out of nowhere. Sudden realizations that hit harder than expected. Things you thought were stable may suddenly seem fragile. But remember, Uranus doesn't destroy for fun. It disrupts because something more aligned is trying to break through. Then there's Mars in 10th square with Pluto. And this is where it gets personal. Mars is will, fire, action. Pluto is power, transformation, the underworld. When these two clash, what erupts is never casual. You might feel an urge to fight, to assert yourself, to reclaim what you feel was taken from you. But here's the deeper truth: this isn't about outer war. It's about inner revolution. This day will feel like a bomb, not because life is cruel, but because something within you is demanding to be lived differently. Think about it. What truth have you been circling around, afraid to touch? What part of yourself have you been silencing to keep things peaceful? Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for your life is let it fall apart where it no longer fits. And that's the spiritual signature of the Tower cards, its collapse, but only of the structures built on fear or avoidance. And what comes right after the Tower? The Star. Healing. Rebuilding from truth. Let's zoom out just a little. In numerology, 17 reduces to 8. This is the number of karma. Not punishment, but cycles that come full circle. Reaping what's been sown. And also, the number of empowerment, rebirth, and financial shift. This is where you pause and ask, am I planting what I want to harvest? Because that's what this energy is demanding of you now: honesty. Not just with others, but with yourself. You see, most of us aren't afraid of endings. We're afraid of what comes after. We're afraid of being in that undefined space between what was and what could be. But transformation isn't tidy. It doesn't send you an invite in advance. It shows up like October 17th, loud, unapologetic, and divine. It breaks things open so that light can get in. And if this is hitting close to home, if it feels like I'm describing something you can't quite name but definitely feel, that's not coincidence. That's resonance. That's the part of you that's waking up right now, preparing to move. You don't need to know what comes next. You just need to be willing to not go back. So, I'll ask again, not as a teacher, but as someone who's stood on this very edge before, what have you been avoiding? What truth in you has been waiting for permission to rise? What would happen if, just for a moment, you trusted the collapse instead of fearing it? Don't rush to answer. Just sit with it. Let the day unfold. And when the shift happens, because it will, then fight it. Feel it. That's where the breakthrough lives. That's where the real journey begins. You can sense it before you can explain it. Something inside you starts to shift quietly at first, like a whisper in your bones. And then, without warning, that whisper grows louder. That's the energy we're walking into now, Leo. If you've made it this far, you already know something's changing. Not out there, but in here. This is the moment where your soul starts to stretch beyond the life you once agreed to settle for. And while that sounds inspiring, let's not pretend it's always graceful. Growth rarely is. When the soul begins to awaken, it doesn't come with fireworks. It usually arrives in the form of discomfort. That heavy feeling in your chest that says, I can't keep pretending this is enough. Maybe it's a relationship where your needs have gone unnoticed. Maybe it's a version of you that's been playing small for so long, you forgot what it's like to speak up. But no matter how it looks on the outside, the truth remains the same. The version of you that once fit into certain spaces no longer fits. And that's not something to mourn. That's something to notice. Right now, the energy is calling you to remember your worth. This isn't about ego. This is about recognition, self-recognition. You've given love in silence. You've held back your voice in the name of peace. You've convinced yourself to be okay with less, just to avoid rocking the boat. But what if the boat was never yours to steady? What if the version of peace you've been maintaining was actually costing you your power? The tarot confirms this wave of inner change. The Nine of Swords shows us the sleepless nights, the silent fears, the worry that creeps in when no one's looking. The Judgment card says, it's time to rise. To answer the call you've been ignoring. An Ace of Swords? That's the truth. Raw. Honest. Liberating. Not the truth that keeps you stuck, but the one that frees you the moment you dare to speak it out loud. We often think choosing ourselves is selfish. But real self-love doesn't push others away. It simply stops abandoning your own needs to keep everyone else comfortable. And Leo, you've mastered the art of showing up for others. But now it's time to show up for you. Even if others don't understand. Even if it disappoints someone. Even if it's messy. You deserve to live a life that reflects the light you carry, not one that dims it for the sake of harmony that's already cracked. So I'll ask you straight, when was the last time you chose yourself? Not the filtered version. Not the version others expect. But the whole, vibrant, messy, powerful you? The one that knows what you want even when you're scared to say it? You don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. You've already walked through fire. And it didn't burn you, it refined you. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to want more. Wanting more doesn't make you ungrateful, it makes you honest. And that honesty is the starting point for everything real. Take a breath. Ground yourself. And when you're ready, speak it. Even if your voice shakes. Say the thing you've been holding back. Because this moment, this internal shifty's not about who you were. It's about who you're becoming. And that version of you? They're not just awake. They're unstoppable. Sometimes abundance doesn't knock. It just shows up quietly, waits for a moment of clarity, and slips through the smallest crack in your routine. That's the energy we're stepping into now, Leo. The kind of shift that doesn't announce itself with trumpets but with a whisper that says, pay attention. And if you've been feeling like something's been trying to reach you through the chaos, chances are, it has. In the language of the tarot, that whisper looks a lot like the Ace of Pentacles. A symbol of new financial beginnings, fresh opportunities, and tangible blessings that come not just from hard work but from alignment. It's not always a paycheck or a promotion. Sometimes, the Ace of Pentacles shows up as a sudden meeting, a text from someone you haven't heard from in months, or even a job loss that feels terrifying in the moment but sets you on the path toward the work you were meant to do. It can be subtle. Maybe it's an offer that feels oddly timed, but deep down you know it's right. Maybe it's an old project returning with new potential. Or maybe it's something ending not because you failed, but because the cycle is complete. And now it's time for something better. But here's the thing: abundance rarely arrives where fear is in charge. That's why now is a powerful time to ask yourself an honest question. Am I building my financial life out of fear or from a place of love and purpose? Too many of us chase security instead of freedom. We stay in jobs that deplete us because the world taught us to be grateful for stability, even if it costs our joy. But Leo, your fire wasn't meant to dim for the sake of playing it safe. You were built to create, to lead, to take up space. This is your reminder that you're allowed to pivot. You're allowed to want more. If you've been clinging to what's familiar because it's secure, this is your invitation to loosen your grip. Trust that the universe doesn't just take things away, it makes room. And that room? It's often filled with things that reflect your value in a way you haven't experienced yet. Think about that. What if this next chapter isn't about working harder, but aligning deeper? Financial healing is more than numbers on a spreadsheet. It's how you speak about money. It's whether you panic when the bills arrive or whether you breathe and respond with trust. It's whether you budget from anxiety or plan from vision. That's why now is the perfect moment to rewrite your relationship with wealth. Take out a notebook tonight and jot down what financial freedom actually means to you. Not the version the world sells, but your truth. What would it feel like to earn in a way that energizes you instead of draining you? And color matters too. If you're doing intentional work around wealth this week, bring gold and deep green into your environment. Wear it. Light candles in those hues. Let those colors remind your nervous system that prosperity is safe, grounded, and alive in your space. Sometimes, the smallest sensory shifts create the most profound energetic changes. I'll leave you with this to reflect on. Have you ever said no to something because deep down, you were scared to fail? What if that no was really a yes to your old limitations? And what if now is the time to say yes to what's meant for you? Comment below if that lands. Your story could be the mirror someone else needs today. Love doesn't always leave with a slam of the door. Sometimes, it lingers in the quiet. In the song that randomly plays. In the way someone new looks at you, and your mind reflexively compares. There's a tenderness in those echoes, but also a hidden weight. And for many of you, Leo, that's what's resurfacing now, a moment where love's past and future meet right at the edge of your heart. Not to confuse you, but to remind you that you've grown. That you've changed. And that you get to choose differently now. It often starts with a flicker. Someone who once didn't see your light starts to feel the loss of it. Maybe they don't say it outright. Maybe they show up in indirect ways, liking a post, asking mutual friends, sending a message that reads casual but feels loaded. And for a moment, you might wonder if this is closure or temptation. The truth? It doesn't matter what they feel now. What matters is whether they ever made you feel safe, seen, and whole when it counted. Regret has a loud voice, but it doesn't always come with real change. The Lover's card in tarot is often misunderstood. It's not just about romance. It's about choice. Conscious choice. Between the past and the future. Between comfort and growth. And it's showing up now for a reason. Alongside it, we see the Three of Cups: celebration, support, emotional connection. It speaks to the energy of someone new. Someone who doesn't just desire you but respects you. Who doesn't need to possess you but wants to walk beside you. This isn't a test. It's an invitation to stop settling. But there's one more card, the Hermit. It reminds us that real clarity comes from quiet. Not from rushing to fill the space love once occupied, but from understanding what it taught us. That's why I always encourage the unsent letter ritual during times like these. Write to the person who hurt you. Not to send it. Not to change them. But to release what you've been holding. Say what you wish you could have said back then. Let your words carry your closure. Let your voice free the version of you who stayed silent out of fear, guilt, or longing. And then, ask yourself the question that shifts everything. Am I choosing someone because they truly align with my growth, or am I choosing them because I'm afraid to be alone? It's not always an easy answer. But your honesty here is a sacred act of self-love. You deserve a relationship that doesn't just fill space, but fuels your spirit. It's okay to miss someone and still know they're not right for you. It's okay to love someone and still walk away. You're not being cold. You're being clear. And clarity is one of the most generous things you can give yourself. Especially now. So, Leo, be honest with your heart. Not just about what you want, but about what you no longer need to carry. Ask yourself, am I using the past to close the door on what could be? Or am I ready to leave that door open for something real, something whole, something healing? This part of your story doesn't need to be dramatic to be powerful. Sometimes the most transformative love story begins when you choose to stop waiting and start receiving. And that includes receiving your own love, first. That sets the tone for everything else to follow. There's something powerful about the quiet moments before the world fully wakes up. In the stillness of morning, when the noise hasn't started yet, the universe often whispers its clearest messages. That's why I want to gently guide you into a daily practice, not a routine, but a soul ritual. Something that reconnects you to yourself, to the rhythm of life, and to the unseen hands that are always supporting you. When you place your hand over your heart, close your eyes, and slowly inhale, you're not just calming your nervous system, you're coming back home to your inner truth. And when you say, even silently, today, I choose trust. I release what weighs me down. I open to what is coming, something shifts in the energetic field around you. That single moment becomes your declaration to the universe that you are ready. Not perfect, not fearless, just ready. And that's more than enough. Over the past few days, many sensitive souls, perhaps even you, have noticed something strange yet beautiful happening in the air. Some of you have shared dreams where a departed grandmother, a father, or a childhood friend appeared, just standing there, smiling, silent but warm. Others said they caught a familiar scent, suddenly cinnamon, old perfume, or even smoke from incense that no longer burns. A few said a song played that hadn't crossed their mind in years, yet it instantly took them back to a memory of safety, comfort, or childhood joy. These are not coincidences. These are soul signs. Messages from the other side. You are not alone, not now, not ever. Your ancestors, your soul family, and even parts of your higher self that have seen lifetimes of evolution, they're reaching out now to say, we're here. You're on the right path. Keep going. If no one has told you lately, let me remind you, the love of those who came before you still surrounds you. Every act of kindness you offer today, even just a warm smile to a stranger, or picking up a piece of trash from the sidewalk, is not a small thing. It's a living prayer. A thread in the sacred web your ancestors continue to weave through you. They are watching. They are smiling. They are proud. You don't need to perform elaborate rituals to feel closer to them. Sometimes, it's as simple as wiping down a forgotten corner of your room, lighting a candle, or moving furniture to let the air circulate again. When energy flows in your home, it flows in your spirit. And when your space breathes, so do you. Let the air move. Let the energy cleanse. Let the light in. On October 17th, the energy frequencies surrounding you will respond especially well to certain colors. Silver white will bring in clarity and divine protection. Deep wine red will help you feel rooted, powerful, and safe. And soft luminous violet will open the gateway to inner peace and spiritual connection. Wear them, visualize them, decorate your altar or space with them. These aren't just colors. They are vibrational codes that your soul remembers, even when your mind forgets. What's one small thing you can do today to honor where you come from? What's one whisper of trust you can offer into the wind? Maybe it's simply breathing deeply and saying, "I don't know how everything will unfold, but I believe I'm being guided." And you are. More than you know. Take a moment, now, to reflect. When was the last time you truly felt supported, not by a person, but by something greater? Can you open that door again, just a crack? Maybe the warmth you're seeking isn't far away. Maybe it's been here all along, waiting for you to remember. Tomorrow, October 17th, isn't just another day on the calendar. It's a threshold, a quiet, powerful portal that opens the moment you decide to stop surviving and start embodying the truth of who you are. This isn't about chasing another miracle or waiting for a cosmic handout. It's about recognizing that the miracle is already inside of you. Quietly awakening with each breath, ready to emerge the moment you stop doubting and start allowing. You've endured much, some seen, some held in the sacred silence of your heart. In this moment, right now, is your invitation to no longer carry the old version of you. Let the pain melt into purpose. Let the noise of the past fade into stillness. You're not broken. You're breaking open. And this energetic shift, this quantum jump that begins tomorrow, isn't happening to scare you, it's happening to set you free. If your heart has been beating faster lately, if tears have come without explanation, if you've been waking up at 3 a.m. sensing something bigger is unfolding, you're not imagining it. You're remembering your soul's contract. And it's being reactivated. I know the journey hasn't been easy. But has anything that changed your life ever arrived with comfort first? This is the part where faith grows legs. Where softness becomes your strength. Where silence isn't absence, it's sacred preparation. You're not meant to walk this new path with fear, you're meant to walk it with your chin lifted, your spirit grounded, and your eyes open to the signs. They're already appearing, aren't they? The dreams. The repeating numbers. The voices of your ancestors echoing in whispers of wind, flashes of light, the scent of old flowers from a memory you thought was lost. These are not coincidences. They're confirmations. And now I ask you, do you feel something stirring inside you? Not pressure but possibility. If so, I invite you to affirm it in the comments, I am ready to step into the highest version of myself. Let that be your signature to the universe, your soul's sacred contract renewed. Let your words be the first seed of transformation. If this message stirred something within you, if it reminded you of your sacred timing, please like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs this light. You never know whose life your courage might inspire. This is Eternal Mindfulness, your soul's home on the path of awakening. Here, we don't chase magic, we become it. And if no one told you this today, I see you. I honor your journey. And I believe in the beautiful, breathtaking life that is unfolding for you. You're not late. You're right on time. The quantum leap begins tomorrow. Will you take it?